Hi.
How's it going? You look nice. I like your shoes. Turn that off. What is this?
It's an ESPN update.
You don't even like
Oh,
sports.
Jay, it's March Madness.
Oh, this is awful.
Number 3 Michigan reaches the first Final Four since the notification cut off.
I just don't. You know, I haven't watched any basketball.
Kentucky's out. Did you know that?
Yes, I did know that.
Kentucky's out.
Don't care.
It was
You want to hear something crazy?
a frustrating game.
Listen to this shit. So, somebody at my work.
Can't even talk.
This was related to this. Somebody at my work, massive Kentucky basketball fan, right? Goes to games because my boss, he'll like pester my boss for tickets.
Right. You told me this, I think.
Yeah. So my boss was down in Florida this week for a trade show. Couldn't go to Atlanta to the game. And I asked my friend, I said, hey, are you going?
Hold on. Catlanta.
Are you going to Atlanta for the game? He said, no, I don't have any time off anymore. I don't have any more vacation time. And I don't have tickets. The game was the day after I asked him. I came into work the next day and he wasn't there. So I asked my friend Josh Glancy, who you know, I said, where is this person? He said, oh, he went to Atlanta. And I said, are you fucking kidding me? Because the day before, I basically told him, if you just pester my boss, not only will he just give you the day off to watch the game, he'll probably just give you the tickets.
Right.
That's exactly what he did.
He asked your boss if he could have. That's
Isn't
amazing.
Isn't that incredible?
That's amazing. You sounded like you were a little peeved about it, but I
No,
think
I don't
that's
care.
incredible.
I don't care at all. I celebrate it.
Your boss is like, yeah, I will give you this ticket so you could skip a day off from my company. That's pretty cool.
Well,
my boss would never let me do that.
I mean, that should just tell people how passionate some fans are. That even if you own a big company, they'll be like, yeah, fuck it. Who cares? Just leave. Just do your thing. But I guess the moral of the story is it's such short notice to do something like that. Like this stresses me out thinking about it. Must be nice just to enjoy sports and that's it.
So I am an assistant store manager at a Dollar General.
We're gonna have to bleep that out.
No,
Where did this come from?
I'm just spitting fire.
Okay. Is that really the fire?
That's what this is. Guys, that's not a joke. That's my actual job.
Why now?
You know what? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that I revealed it, does it?
No, it doesn't, but why
doesn't.
now?
I don't know.
Now I'm going back thinking about why didn't you before? Is this a plea for help? Is this when we're about to announce the Patreon? Guys, I've had enough.
That was the strategy. I want people to feel bad for me. That way they are willing to give more money when we announce the Patreon. That's exactly what it is.
The other day I asked you off air, I'll say this. I said, do you think Christian or Fernandez know that you work at Dollar General? And your eyes like lit up. Like, I don't think they know that.
They have no idea.
Yeah.
They have no clue.
People from Collider. For those of you that don't give a shit about that.
Right. No, the reason why I don't tell people in general, it's not just that I haven't said it on the podcast. It's that literally when I left Lowe's to work at Dollar General, I did not tell people in my actual life.
Right.
I didn't announce it on Facebook. I didn't do anything with that information.
Yeah, why would you ever announce it on Facebook anyways?
Well, so, you do life events. People post life
We're
events.
on Facebook in a second. I want to talk about Facebook.
Okay, we will. So I didn't want people to ask me about my job, but I'm saying it on this podcast because no one that listens to our show, no one's going to bother me about it here. So I don't care to say it here. I was trying to control the narrative with the people in my life. That way they didn't ask me about it. It doesn't matter where I work. I don't want people to ask me about my job in general because I don't care. I want to talk about other things. I don't want you to ask me, you going in today? Or how was your day at work today? It sucks. Yeah. I work in retail. I mean, it's like, there's nothing else to say. So that's why I am a little self-conscious of the job, but I'm an assistant store manager. That's hella good on a resume at my age, and
using hella now, huh?
I make good money. It's just I'd never like telling people I worked for that company, but
right. Yeah, I like not to tell people where I work because one, it's very difficult to explain what I do. I've sort of mentioned what I do before. I work for a place I design things that you can go and see in your city. And that's sort of where I'll leave it. And it's partially because of the people that I work for. I've never told you this before. So one time when I started where I work, I took a picture of the things that I make for a very, very, very big company. If I just said the biggest company that I do work for, you probably know who I was talking about. And I posted it on my social media. And I've never had anything like this happen at work. They freaked the fuck out. They were like, "What are you doing?"
Why?
Because, I mean, technically it's not, I don't know. It's hard to explain. See, it's hard to explain. Like,
okay, I'll give an example, but it's not a specific example. I'm just completely making this up. I don't know.
Right.
If we walked, if this listener, why am I saying it like that? Whoever's listening to this, if you walked in a shopping mall and saw the signage at a store, whether it be the actual store sign on the front of the building or the promos that are in the windows, all of that may or may not have been designed by Jaye Williams.
Yeah.
So there's that. And we're talking like big time stores, not some like corporations.
We worldwide, baby. We out here.
Yeah. And I work for Dollar General.
Just did something in Bali the other day, and my one of my coworkers came over and decided to call it Bali.
Bally's is a casino.
Is it?
Yeah, in Vegas. Well, I guess it's other places like Atlanta. I'm sure there's a Bally's in Atlantic City. Atlantic City.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Atlantic City.
Let's talk about Facebook for a second. People are saying the whole delete Facebook thing and this and that, and they're under some fire, some issues right now.
Elon Musk deleted the Tesla Facebook group.
Oh, okay.
Or SpaceX. Excuse me, it's SpaceX.
Yeah.
Why are you shaking your head like that?
I think the delete Facebook thing is actually kind of dumb. I mean, I think it's definitely 100% a thing that people should hold any company like this accountable. But it was kind of funny to see a lot of the stuff come out this week because it's the exact same reaction that I had when they came out with the NSA stuff.
Right.
I was kind of like, yeah, no shit. No shit companies are selling your information. Like, what do you think Google is doing right now? Why do you think Gmail is for fucking free?
Why do you think MoviePass is now $6.99?
Exactly.
They're tracking everything.
Now the problem is that there were things that were brought to light. Well, first of all, people, I guess I watched like a whole thing about this online just to sort of wrap my head around the issues that people are having. It's the fact that people weren't acting on certain things and they weren't being made aware. Just for instance, and a lot of people are up in arms because it has to do with the Trump administration and this and that. Barack Obama used the exact same thing, did the exact same thing in his whatever. What's it called? His campaign. The difference is
the thing.
The difference is he made people aware. He said, "Hey, just to let you know, we're doing this." The other thing that I had this conversation with somebody about at work, this is sort of what I want your take on specifically. Okay, so let's say your data is mined, right? Let's say it's used so that companies can advertise things to you.
Right.
Try to shift your opinion. That's essentially what advertising is.
Ryan Snelling sends a dick pic 3 times a week at midnight.
Exactly. Trying to sway you to the angle of the dangle, the heat of the meat. It then becomes on the person themselves, right? Whether or not they want, like, do you personally think there's, and maybe you don't fall within the algorithm, but was there anything that Facebook could have done and shown you that would have swayed your political opinion for the election?
Probably not.
Okay.
But there are people.
I've seen
video.
Of course.
Of people with microphones going up to people and being like, "Hey, did you know that you're actually directly involved now in something that was started by Russia?" And like, "Oh, no. No, this group that you're part of,
right.
It's been proven."
Yeah.
What? No, not me.
So then it goes into that whole thing, right? Like you're thinking about well, I would never do something like, and it's just like, I don't know. What's the balance here? Like, what's the balance? Should people? I brought this up to somebody at work, and they said, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like some people should be protected from themselves. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
In other words, some people out there are just kind of dumb.
I don't have a specific instance when it comes anything with policy or anything like that right now, but I think about how many people relating it to pop culture post fake movie trailers or fake movie posters thinking that they're real. It blows my mind. I think I just saw one the other day. Someone posted a fake movie trailer or movie poster, and when it shows the link to the website is just some nothing thing.
Right.
And in the post, their text is, "Oh my God, I can't wait for this. When does this come out?" And it's like, really? You're a moron.
That's a good point. That's a good point, because I mean, I've seen entire conversations around movies, things that I thought was like a collective opinion about something, just be completely shifted because of one conversation. I remember one time we were watching the Schmoes No Live show, and all of a sudden there was just this narrative that came up out of nowhere that the third Christopher Nolan Batman movie, Dark Knight Rises, is that it?
Yes, Jay.
That
God.
all of a sudden that it just was a terrible movie, which, listen,
false.
It's not my I think it's the weakest.
Yes.
And I think it has some pretty significant issues.
Yes.
But in no realm did I think it was a terrible movie. So I was like, what? Where did this come from? Something interesting that I know, and I'm not trying to throw anybody under the bus here, something that I noticed interesting in the Facebook group today, this easy bracket challenge that we're doing. Having a lot of fun doing it, seeing everybody's reactions. Evan DeGraff, big fan of Kanye West. That's like a thing.
Yeah.
It's like one of his shticks, I feel like. He proclaimed voting for Jesus Walks over Ultralight Beam, even though he has been voting for songs that feature like people that he likes, and Chance the Rapper, somebody he likes. And I asked him, I said, well, why did you vote for Jesus Walks? If you've already said that Ultralight Beam, you think it's a better song. He said, well, I'm voting for the song that changed rap music. And I'm just like, why wouldn't you just vote for the one that you like? Like, what? Why is that the criteria? Yeah, it was just, and again, this isn't necessarily directed towards Evan, but I found it interesting because something like that reminded me of something from the movie space. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
How dare you say Blade Runner is dated? Motherfucker, it's dated. It looks old. It's boring. I'm about that 2049 shit.
It's crazy how people don't talk about Minority Report being a far superior film to Blade Runner.
Oh my God. Are you kidding me?
In every way, shape, or form.
Absolutely.
I watched Mission Impossible 3 last night.
I just watched Mission Impossible 2 the other day.
2 or 3?
3.
It's
with Kayla for the first time.
This was the first time that I was looking at it because Spielberg's been on my mind lately. And we're going to talk about Spielberg here in a second when we get to movies. But I watched MI3 and I saw so much of Spielberg's cinematography throughout that entire movie, and it blew my mind because there's obvious comparisons with J.J. Abrams and Spielberg.
Yeah.
It was Super 8, just thematically and everything like that. So that was the J.J. Abrams Spielberg movie, if you will. But watching MI3, I was like, this to me feels more like Spielberg than Super 8 does. It was so weird seeing it that way. But anyway, there's some shinfo, and I don't remember what that has to do with Kanye West and Evan DeGraff. But there's
we were talking about how it seems a movie space.
Just updated opinions, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't follow. That's one thing that kind of bothers me a little bit.
People can think however they want. He can go however he wants. I just found it interesting.
Like that conversation that The Dark Knight Rises is terrible.
Yeah.
Okay. All of those people, I guarantee, would agree the Dark Knight trilogy is one of the greatest trilogies of all time. You do not have a greatest trilogy of all time when one of the three is a terrible movie.
Right.
Ergo, they're being hyperbolic that The Dark Knight Rises is a terrible movie. Like, I'm sorry, they're not accurately displaying their true opinion.
Right.
So, but I knew that too at the time. I was like, there's no way that they actually think that. They're just trying to figure out how to say it was maybe one of the disappointing ones or it's the worst of the three,
Right.
which is fair when you word it that way. But it's not a terrible film by any means.
I'm going to throw out another sort of semi-related topic. Have you been listening to The Watch lately? Did you listen to The Watch this past
I
week?
listened today to the one where they were talking about
Avengers?
Sicario and Avengers.
Oh my God. So
they were cracking me up with their Soldado takes.
yeah, that was pretty funny. One thing that's becoming apparent with Infinity War coming out, if we get outside of the bubble a little bit, people who don't give a shit about this movie think that it's fucking stupid. The other day, I talked to a few people and I saw a few reactions online, like Chris D'Elia, the comedian. Did you see his?
Yeah.
You saw that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Eric sent it to us. That post, and somebody else was like, there's no fucking way I'm going to see a movie with 70 people in it. This looks so fucking stupid. Like, that's like people's take on this.
You know what I say to that?
Yeah.
That take,
I
that
get it.
take, no, that
I
take
get it.
sucks.
I get it.
That take sucks.
I get it, man. Listen, it's a rare occasion. It's a fucking rare occasion that we've talked about this multiple times in our Avengers discussions, that a movie like that should work. It will defy logic if it does work.
So,
Do you agree? Do you agree
let's
with the conversation that the guys on The Watch were having about it?
in what way?
Not
in
agree, I
which
guess.
aspect?
I know
of
that
it?
you don't agree.
Well,
with
I
it.
think if people are saying there's no way I'm seeing this movie because there's 70 characters in it, that's stupid. Because for one, there's
that's not what they were saying. They were saying they
thought
think,
that's what you said.
Well, they think it's dumb. They think that, like, they think the whole concept of it all, that there's no way that it can possibly be a good movie.
So are you? That's ridiculous. Are those people? You label them as people who don't give a shit about this movie.
Mhm.
So are those people that haven't been following Marvel at all? Is that what you're saying?
There are people who have a very low opinion of superhero movies in general.
Okay.
That it's low hanging fruit.
Okay.
and-
Well, then that's no different than any other superhero movie that comes out.
right.
I thought you were saying there was something like there were a group of people that are like casually into movies and they go see every Marvel movie because they are the biggest movies.
No.
But for
I mean,
this is the one that they have a
no,
problem with. I'm like, what?
I mean, they're specifically outside of the bubble.
Okay.
It's this casual audience individual. Like,
But casual audiences, those are the movies that casual audiences go to. So you have to say that they are an audience that don't care about superhero
casual,
movies.
like people may wander in from the street.
All
Like
right.
99% of all people on Earth, outside of the amount of people that will go see this movie.
Yeah.
Let's talk about what they talked about on The Watch, because I thought that was a fascinating opinion. This whole thing about the thing that we celebrate in our bubble about Marvel films. You know, everyone has this different flavor and this
Right.
and that, and them basically saying that was all a bunch of horse shit. Their take on it was hilarious. I thought that it was a little bit off, a little bit hyperbolic.
Because that was an example of them turning their nose up to it.
Oh, 100%.
Because
I welcome it.
okay, so for those of you who don't know, you know, if you're a Marvel fan, we've had conversations about movies like The Winter Soldier, and The Winter Soldier is compared, that is Marvel's political thriller. It's very much reminiscent of like All the President's Men or 3 Days of the Condor, things like that. And so they were making fun of the fact that Marvel's directors and Kevin Feige in the MCU equate their superhero, quote unquote, popcorn movies to like critically acclaimed, like Criterion type films,
which is not the case. That's not what they're doing. It's not a comparison. Like
it's not a comparison, but they're also,
it seems like they're drawing influence from.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so every time that Feige or Russo's or whatever, they come out and say stuff like that, it's like, yeah, I get it. But it's an equation. It's not just here's the MCU producing a film, 3 Days of the Condor, like a remake. It's superhero movie or Captain America plus said movie equals this. So when you do Captain America / superhero movie plus 3 Days of the Condor equals Captain America Winter Soldier, that equation makes 100% sense.
Yeah.
But they were making fun of that idea and turning their nose up to it, which is strange because they're also superhero movie fans
They
in
get
a way.
picky and choosy about things.
It was just kind of an annoying
It's
take
Andy
to me.
Greenwald who like celebrated Last Jedi from the rooftops. Not that he shouldn't, because I enjoyed the movie as well, but it's just funny how he picks and chooses what, I don't know. They're hard to nail
Andy
down.
Greenwald is aggravating a lot of the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
But they do have fantastic conversations.
Oh yeah, it's a great podcast. If the people that want to hear takes that exist outside the bubble,
yeah,
they are complete. They are two white guys, but they have a completely different voice than our audience knows us, probably because of Schmoville and Collider. If you're listening to this and you know us through those channels, through those vessels, The Watch and The Ringer, all of that over there, it kind of exists on its own plane, and I think it's actually very valuable. That's why I think we both think it's valuable to listen to other things outside of our comfort zones.
What's important, because listen, it's important because it seems like the temperature of opinion in new media is, if they have really got under my skin before, but I've never wanted to just be like, fuck this show, turn it off. It seems to be the case. Like, you don't like a Parkway Drive music video and they want you to burn in hell.
I was thinking about this last night. Our friend Christina introduced me socially to Austin Burke, who is a local film movie reviewer on YouTube, and he's actually doing pretty well for himself. And if I remember correctly, I think I've seen him just accidentally on YouTube, because when she sent him to me, I recognized him, but I did not equate that he lives here locally. He lives in Lexington.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I was checking out his channel, and then this random thought crossed my mind. Didn't have anything to do with Austin necessarily, but I just thought about, like, what if we all just completely started over with who we followed on YouTube? Like, I stopped watching Stuckman, I stopped watching Jeremy Johns, and we just go to the next quote-unquote generation of people. Like, how fascinating would it be if I just took those things away from myself and started over with brand new channels? I thought that would be fascinating.
Yeah, it takes a lot for me to unsubscribe from a YouTube account. Like, they have to be annoying me, like in a weird way.
Yeah.
Like muddying up my feed or something like that. Like, there's things that, I don't know, man. There's things that I feel like I'm subscribed to that I haven't watched in years. Like Munchies, for whatever reason, Munchies just stopped doing a lot of the content that they were doing when I first subscribed to them. So
we sell Munchies at Dollar General.
Munchies is Vice's food thing.
Yeah,
that they do.
Action
Bronson,
Fancy Feast,
Eddie Wong. It's a cat brand. We
Um,
don't talk a lot about Vice on this show. I don't know why we would. It's
because only you watch Vice.
It's drama. It's not on HBO.
I meant between us, not the populace.
You could watch it.
I could. So, anyway, I was thinking about it because, not that I've unsubscribed from it, but I might as well have unsubscribed from Chris Stuckman because I don't watch him anymore. I just thought it was funny how fast
he's been spoiling movies lately.
I just think it's funny how fast that circulated, where I was watching Stuckman and Stuckman every chance I could, and now I have other channels that I watch, so I might as well be. Things are moving so much faster. I was listening to a really interesting conversation. Actually, it was on Le Batard, because I'm not going to explain Le Batard's personality and things, but he operates outside of the sports radio box. But they have ESPN hosts on there. So Michael Wilbon from Pardon the Interruption was a guest, and Dan Patrick was on the show. Whenever those people, Michael Wilbon specifically, whenever he's on the show, and obviously an established journalist, some also like Stephen A., someone who's very serious, takes themselves very seriously, established journalist, been in the game for a long ass time. Whenever they interact with Stu Gatz, they don't like it.
I'm sure.
They don't.
I'm sure.
Stu asked Michael Wilbon a question, and Michael, on the air, this was dead serious. Michael Wilbon was like, basically told him to shut up, don't ask me stupid questions, now let me talk to Dan again. And this was on the show. And Stu was like, what the hell is that? Like, I can't have an opinion just because I'm not a journalist. And I was thinking about how, for one, it pissed me off. But then it made me realize that the days of like the general populace valuing that journalist opinion are over.
Yeah, of course. That's because anybody can be that journalist.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe
Stu Gotts can beat that journalist, but they don't like it.
Maybe they might not be so plugged in to the same types of channels to get breaking news and this and that, but sometimes it doesn't even matter because news has a mind of its own and a life of its own. It'll just come out willy-nilly on social media. And yeah, man, the old guard, the old model doesn't like it.
No.
Let the past die.
God, it was so annoying hearing that happen. But anyway, it's just fascinating how fast everything is moving.
I'll tell you what stressed me out today. This is this will be the last thing I have for this portion, but
I've got one more thing, but
That's
we
fine.
can use it to transition into movies.
I was watching, speaking on some of our favorite podcasts, I was watching The Fighter and the Kids behind the scenes today. It's their producer, like basically has a GoPro on all the time and just films what he does behind the scenes when they're not doing their show. And it stressed me out so bad because they're a show that's like growing at an exponential rate. They're getting crazy opportunities.
Right.
I mean, just all types of stuff. And the amount of work that this guy had to put in, like for instance, they moved studios. It started off by him filming their last day at their old studio. He filmed himself moving all their equipment into the new studio, setting it up for a week. And then he had to move all of the stuff away. It's essentially a room probably about double the size of this. Moved all the stuff in from the wall so they could paint. The guys didn't show up, and they had to podcast the next day.
Oh God!
So they had to move it back, and they had to move it back again. And then Brendan Schaub got his Showtime gig, and they built a studio, like a really dope ass studio inside their studio. So then he had to do all that.
Yeah.
And then he's a music engineer. He does stuff for music too. And so, do you know who Skylar Astin is, the actor?
Yeah.
Skylar Astin came in to record the theme song with him, and they worked for like 10 hours on it, and then he had to edit it. And it was just like all this shit was crazy.
Is Skylar Astin a fan of the show?
Huge fan of the show.
I was going to say, that's such a random pick.
He's a really big fan of Fighter and the Kid. He's been on multiple times.
Has he really?
Oh yeah, they're like really close.
He's been on wasn't he on The Ringer recently too?
I don't know.
On something?
Can I be honest? I'm not a fan of him.
Oh, really? I don't know anything about him.
Now, here's why I'm not a fan of him.
He had this shitty TBS show.
Here's why I'm not a fan of him. No offense to Skylar Astin if you're listening. But he
is
really, in a really bad way. Have you ever been around somebody that takes on the personality of who they're around too much?
Yeah.
Like they start talking exactly how other people talk, and it's like in a weird way.
Right.
He does that. Like he'll come on and he'll interact with Brendan Schaub and Brian Callen like they talk to each other. And he'll use like weird words that they use, and it's just like, ugh. This is very, very odd. Like he's kind of too much of a fanboy, and it weirds me out. And I don't like it when people are.
But he's been on multiple times, and Brendan hasn't picked up on that.
Yeah,
I was gonna say, wouldn't they be the guys that pick up on that, or like, let's not do this again?
Yeah, I don't know why they don't.
So, what is it about? Is that your favorite podcast? Like over Rogan or
over Rogan, just because I've spent so long with Rogan, and he's so diverse in what he actually does that I have a hard time keeping up with what he's doing on a week-to-week basis.
So what is it about? If Fighter and the Kid is your favorite podcast, what is it about you listening to that and me listening to Le Batard? That being my favorite show. Why?
Like, where do they cross each other?
Why? Well, I guess I'll ask two things. What does that say about us, do you think, to our individual personalities? But also, why are our favorite podcasts about things that we aren't invested in? Mainly being fighting and things like that for Fighter and the Kid, and sports radio for me.
So for Fighter and the Kid, they've kind of gotten away from the fighting stuff a little bit because Brendan Schaub does his own show about fighting, so it's made it a lot easier. But I would still tune in regardless. For me, it's very funny. It's very entertaining, obviously. And it's also like, I like the way they do their show, and very similar to you, because we've had conversations about this off air. That's a type of show, sort of. It would actually be more like the Big Brown Breakdown, but that's a show that I would love to do sometime, like where it's just the conversations like we have. I would love for us to have a producer that would read us off things.
Right.
Because that's what they do. The entire second half of the show is just Chin, their producer, just reading off current events and then riffing on it. And I think it's just funny.
I do like that.
Yeah. I mean, that's how I keep up with some of my news.
I like the idea of that, but for some reason, I don't know. I like it, but I haven't gotten into it to the point where I listen to it.
The problem with the Fighter and the Kid, they're somewhat of an abrasive show. There are times when I am like, I do not get offended by things. There are some times when I'm like, they kind of crossed the line a lot. And like if they were a bigger show, they would. And he has been.
Well, they are a big show.
They're definitely a big show.
Is their audience? Their audience appreciates it. I guarantee it.
Oh, 100%.
For the most part, their audience is not bothered when they do that.
For instance, one of the
they appeal to meatheads.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely they do.
And I'm not calling you a meathead. You're not.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Well, and the problem about it is, or the funny thing about the show is Brian Callen is supposed to be the intellectual, but he's full of shit. So it's just like, doesn't work. Just doesn't work. The other day, they read off a current event. Did you hear this story about the science teacher that fed like a puppy that was like in bad shape to a snapping turtle?
Yes. Yeah.
They talked about that, and their whole reaction was like, it's just life. Oh. And like I get it. I get what they're saying. I get what they're saying. I get it. That's nature. And but I'm just like, man, you can't just shrug it off.
It's not nature to force that to happen.
Exactly. And you can't, yeah. And like Brian Callen is like very much an old school type of guy. And even though he's not like this, like when a lot of the sexual misconduct allegation comes up, he's quick, like super quick to defend it in a weird way.
To defend sexual misconduct?
Yeah, but it's like he's like just very defensive about it. He's like, well, you mean I can't walk up to a woman and just give her a compliment? And like, I get what he's saying. But at the end of the day, no, it's a little fucking creepy. Like, and even Brendan is kind of like, well, man, you don't really get it. I think it's just weird how defensive he gets about it.
When it comes to that, I think there are levels, because girls still talk about guys in ways like that too. You know what I mean? Like to themselves. Yeah. Like I'm hardly ever approached by a woman who has anything to say about me at all.
The problem is,
but to themselves, girls still talk about like there have been times when I felt a little self-conscious saying a girl is hot. Like, man, she's really hot. And then I'm like, you know what? That's fine.
But there's a big difference between you saying that to yourself or to me. But listen, anytime it's forced upon somebody else like that, like it's like you're already putting somebody in like a weird situation.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't fucking want to.
If I was responding directly to that conversation on the show, I would have been like, okay, that doesn't mean they're going to fucking like it. Like that doesn't mean that they want you to do that. So that's the part that comes off as creepy.
Yeah. You kind of just need to hear it. And it's the fact that
I get it,
constantly doing it. And all it comes down to and what I've come to terms with, and I sort of roll my eyes at it, is that he's a 50-year-old man.
Yeah.
And he's just being protective of, like, you know, whatever it is that his masculinity.
It's just what he's known.
Yeah, that's
All
what
his
it is. And I don't even know how we got on this tangent.
I don't know.
Did you say you had another point? Or was that it?
Yeah, I wanted to talk to you about something. You know what? As it sits right now, I don't know if this is going to be a weekly or another after party.
we talked about this off air.
Let's just forget about what the title is right now, and let's just do it.
Okay.
Well, this has
fine.
been good. This has been good. So I wanted to ask you: did you watch any of the Last Jedi special features, the director and the Jedi documentary, or any of the deleted things, all that?
You're doing a thing.
What am I doing?
You're asking me a rhetorical question you know the answer of. You asked me this earlier on in the week, and I told you I did. I watched like a third of the documentary.
Why a third?
Which I found a little boring. That was a little bit boring. I like the Phantom Menace documentary is great. And in very odd
because
ways.
It's a joke.
In very interesting ways.
It's an inside joke to all of us. For something to be so taken so seriously at the time.
It's an unintentional comedy.
It is.
I watched that. I watched some of the deleted scenes, which were essentially nothing. What else did I watch?
Did you see the Andy Serkis bit?
No, I didn't watch that one.
Should have. It's cool.
Okay.
It's cool.
What else did I watch?
I wanted to talk about the documentary with you. Did you see?
I saw our friends from Collider on it.
Yeah. Okay, so let me just say that watching all this behind the scenes stuff, the more we get away from the actual the experience of it past December.
I like that they actually do these things. First of all,
it's
like full length documentaries.
It's far superior than what we got
than the Last Jedi,
The Force Awakens.
Okay,
no, but I was gonna say that
I like the Force Awakens one.
It was fine, but this was a lot. There was a lot more to this.
Also, I haven't finished this one, so
there was a lot more to this package of special features than there was to the Force Awakens. And the Force Awakens, if anything, should have had more because it was the return to a franchise.
Yeah,
I needed to see how that was supposed to be handled. But anyway, the director and the Jedi documentary was fantastic. All of these special features have helped me determine that I think The Last Jedi is great.
Oh yeah, you like it?
The only things about I haven't rewatched the movie yet. Actually, that's not true. The other day I watched the Throne Room through the ending, and the only thing I thought was just kind of okay was the fight between Finn and Phasma. But
yeah,
from the Father-Year chase, I don't like. Overall, though, that movie, I get it. Like, that movie has seen so much backlash. I just understand all of the decision making. It makes everything. And I did that Mark Hamill video where I was talking about how all of this makes sense to me. The decision making. Those special features have really helped me support the film that much more. So I'm a big fan of that movie.
I think for me, it rewatching it really did solidify for me that it's just a fine. This is just for me. It's just a fine Star Wars movie, which is okay because I think most Star Wars movies are just fine. I think I might have bumped it down on my list. I think right now I'm sitting at Empire, Force Awakens, New Hope, and then The Last Jedi. The Last Jedi sitting right above Return of the Jedi. And I just found myself watching it like wanting to just get through certain scenes as fast as possible. I think that might be my biggest issue with the film is that when it's really good, it's really, really fucking good. And when I just don't care, it's like that drop off, it's like pretty significant. Like a lot of the stuff going on the ship, with the exception of Holdo, that scene is still incredibly shot. It's breathtaking. But other than that, I just didn't care about that stuff. And then obviously the stuff going on with Finn and Rose, just didn't care about. Still love the stuff on the island. It shocks me when people are talking about like they didn't like the stuff going on the island. I'm like,
Well,
that's like some of the best
isn't
stuff.
that what everyone's problem is? The handling of Luke, essentially.
Yeah, I guess so. But I thought I heard something recently from somebody who actually does like the movie that's like, I'm kind of whatever about the island song. Really?
It's great.
I thought it was, yeah, absolutely.
I really like that movie. I just do.
Yeah,
I feel
I get it.
and
It's cool.
and when it comes to like Canto Bight and stuff, like it is the weakest portion of the movie, but to me it still makes sense how it ties in. I like thematically what it says about, you know, the war in the galaxy and classism and things like that,
Yeah.
and how Finn is learning lessons because, you know, from movie to movie, he went from being part of the First Order to part of the Resistance, and he's seeing how both sides are so similar. So that scene is just sort of a learning experience for them. And yes, that's when the CGI is most notable, when they're riding the 5 years. Like, I get all that stuff, but if anything, I can equate it to, like, that's what Rebels is. So it still feels
Right.
like, and I said that back in our review, I think, but it just kind of, it always feels like Star Wars to me. And I just, the way that whole sequence circles back around to the broom kid and all that, it just, thematically, everything that he did, I totally get it. So, and how this relates to the special features, hearing him talk about it and sort of how he came to those decisions. And because Rian Johnson, in general, I've said it a million times, when I found out Rian Johnson was hired to do The Last Jedi, I was more excited about that than when I was JJ signing on to Force Awakens. And JJ getting Force Awakens meant everything to me. I respect the hell out of Rian Johnson as a filmmaker. So just kind of hearing him talk through some of this stuff in the meetings, like, I thought that documentary was fascinating. And did you have some?
No, not really. I think, listen, if people love the movie, I get it, and if people don't like the movie, I don't get it, but I respect it. I don't know, man. Like, I'm still really high on Star Wars. Like, it's such a we've used this word a lot this episode so far. I feel like it is a little bit hyperbolic, the doomsday stuff going on with Star Wars. Not even doomsday of like Star Wars is dead, but even the stuff like where people are talking about, oh, my heat meter is not as high for Star Wars. And it's like, really? I swear to God. Yeah, okay, so Solo, people aren't super jazzed about it. But I'm sure if they showed you some shit that you had never seen before that looked really badass, you'd be stoked for it.
Right.
And I don't know, man. I'm excited. I'm excited with everything they've got. We're about to, as if getting all these movies wasn't enough, we're going into uncharted territory with Star Wars, with Weiss and Benioff, new Rian Johnson trilogy, with the TV show. I mean, who knows what 10 years from now could look like in 2028.
Another thing that really got me stoked about it, and I guess I'm going to use this as a selling point because the special features are fantastic. Another thing that they talked about was Rey's parentage, because a lot of the things that people speculate on, did Rian Johnson, was he being literal here? Was he being figurative? And obviously one of those examples is when it comes to Rey's parents, and when Kylo tells Rey her parents, she came from nothing.
Yeah.
He explains that Kylo is telling the truth in the documentary because he talks about how he arrived at that question, and his justification I thought was brilliant and made so much sense. He goes, look, I looked at The Empire Strikes Back, and Luke as a character knew that he belonged to he was now a Jedi apprentice of Obi-Wan, and he belonged to this thing. So the only way that you can take something away from him is to tell him that his dad or his villain is the dad, right?
Yeah. His dad is the villain.
Yes. So Rey finding out that she is nothing to the story is her equivalent to, because Luke thought he was on this particular path. He didn't think anything of Vader being his dad, because he already had this image of his dad in his head that Obi-Wan fed him. So the equivalent is Rey having so much hope that her parents are off doing something important, that she is a part of this story, and maybe Luke's her dad or uncle or Obi-Wan, whatever. If this character thinks that she belongs, the equivalent is finding out that she doesn't. So I thought that made so much sense to me, and he just flat out answered a question that people have been speculating on, and getting to hear things like that from the horse's mouth is part of why I think everything that's done in the movie makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
so I love all the choices made.
One of the most fascinating things about Star Wars since becoming like a big fan of it, since I've become in this movie space and this and that, I remember, I don't know why it stuck out to me so much, but I think it was at some point on Jedi Council where they were having a conversation about Kathleen Kennedy wanting to pave a new way for Star Wars that wasn't so reliant on the history of everything.
Right.
And the more I'm hearing coming out of The Last Jedi with special features and with the novelization, if you guys want a good breakdown of the novelization without reading it, you guys can check out the Force Center with Ken Knapsack. They did a fantastic job breaking that down. But there are so many little nuggets of things that point to that fact, that point to that as like a metaphor, whether it's the whole let the past die thing or Rey, not having a lineage to attach herself to, being one of the only people in this universe, with the exception of, well, I guess Han Solo is getting his own movie, but Rey she's her own person. She's her own character, doesn't have the weight and the baggage of all this other stuff like so many other characters in the universe do. And there's in the novelization, they talk about Kylo's actual motivation for his character just being this individual that has this very stark contrast between the old and what's new. He rebels against things that are old and the old ways of things because all that's been done to him over the course of his life is he's been cast out because of history, whether it's his parents leaving him, on this planet and abandoning him, or Luke potentially turning his back on him because of things that had happened to Luke in the past. And he just wants to be done with it. That's why he said to Rey in that throne room, like, let's go off and do our own thing. No more Sith, no more Jedi. Let's just rule the galaxy together. And I think that is a huge metaphor for just what Star Wars is trying to do. Now, that's just my own theory, though.
And Rey is so hot.
Who are you, Finstock? What a weird take to come out of nowhere.
It was like,
I know what you're doing. I get
thank
it.
you. It was a payoff.
What else is going on in I'm in a weird spot right now because I could go off in any direction or I could stay locked into a Sight and Sound Weekly conversation about movies.
We're not allowed to announce our big announcement yet. That sucks.
We're definitely not. I made a comment on the music show the other day. I did say that somebody had brought up Patreon as being a potential thing, and maybe that is a part of an announcement. Maybe it's not, but I did say it would be, to me at least, I kind of joked about it when somebody suggested it, but I feel like that would kind of be a shitty big announcement. Like if we were going to announce that, we would just announce it. Like if we were going to say we have a big announcement and Patreon was a part of it, it would have to be coupled with it, because it would kind of suck to be like, hey, here's this great thing, but you have to contribute money. Like, no, come on, guys.
Just so everybody knows, the reason why we are taking so long with the Patreon, it's not because we're taking extra care of the perks or anything like that. We've decided on all that a long time ago. We're just being fucking lazy. We're just being lazy. That's
so you're
all
right
it
and you're
is.
wrong. Because what you said about taking extra care, we did that already.
I just said that. I just said all that's just been done.
At one point, that was an excuse, but
it's not what's keeping us from doing it now.
Yeah. Luke, I don't know if you saw this or not, Luke in our group text had some pretty straight questions, some pretty understandable questions about Patreon. He wanted to know, what are our goals for Patreon? Not necessarily our goals, but like, what do we plan to do with with this and with that? Where's the money going to go to? And he didn't mean it in a weird way or anything like that. He was just curious. And it was interesting to sort of vocalize it because you and I have talked about it before. And I think we've sort of touched on it in the past, but just so people know, like, obviously we've had a very small amount of income via YouTube and via TeePublic and this and that, but we've never touched any of that money.
Right.
Like, not at all. And I just told him, I was like, man, listen, there's really two answers. Like the easy answer would be, oh, we're going to invest in gear and all this other stuff to help people's experience of sight and sound grow. But ultimately, I'm not going to beat around the bush. Like, Ryan and I, we don't want to work our day jobs anymore. And I'm not just saying we're going to take money and run away to some island somewhere, but if we divide our time between our full-time jobs and doing this thing, and we want to do this thing all the time. There are so many things, so many ideas that we want to do. Like, we've said it before, but one of the reasons we're not on video on all of our podcasts is because we simply just don't have time. And a lot of the funds from Patreon and this and that will go to doing that.
I was gonna say, I think our content is kind of evident of where we are right now. Like, if you look at our YouTube channel, most of our videos we do a part because we don't have the time to get together and do all of them together. Most of the podcasts we record, most of them we do a part over Skype, and you might not even know that, but a lot of them are. We're sitting together right now, but and that's usually the case for weekly, but not when we do the TV recaps or, I mean, if you do your music show alone, obviously. So, I mean, I think that if we bought new equipment, like, that would be, it's so transparent that they would know where our money is going, and it's just to make this bigger and better so that we don't have to do anything else. So we don't have to assistant manage a Dollar General.
Yeah, I mean, that would be great if we didn't have to do things like that. I think
health insurance. I need health insurance. Pay for my health insurance.
That definitely won't happen.
Yeah, that's true.
You have to fund that on your own, brother. Just figure that shit out. Better be going to the little clinic.
True.
Yeah. I told him this too, but things like, more than music episodes, other ideas we have planned. The thing that we showed from the Film Beef days, our Wild review that we did. I mean, things like that is all, like I've said before, proof of concept. Like, you will get more of that in the future.
You know what I would love to do?
What that?
Video games.
I know. We talked about this.
Not on the podcast.
Oh yeah, that's right. So I brainstormed. I was like, what can I contribute to this? I thought, well, I could play FIFA. I could go through like an entire career mode of FIFA. We can do a team together, not you and I, but the audience and I. We could do a team, maybe an ultimate team. And I sort of threw this out there too, but like, people wanted to watch me make a fucking song one day. I could sit down and make a song, I guess.
Basically, you're talking about utilizing Twitch in general, not just gaming. Yeah. Because you can do Photoshop or produce music or anything.
Oh my God. Side note, this is really off, not off topic. It's actually on topic. I don't know what made me do it, but I was on Take Three's YouTube channel the other day, and they had this video of Chris Clark. Shout out to Chris Clark, and him showing Evan over Skype how to make a thumbnail. The video is kind of unwatchable just for the sole fact that it's like it's just like them trying to figure it out.
Like,
how do you think Chris Clark, God love him, he's very technical, he's technically adept, but I wanted to throw myself off of a bridge like watching this whole thing.
Really?
Guys, if you want to know how to, maybe that's what I'll do. I'll give like little Photoshop tutorials. Maybe Ryan will watch. I'll be like, yeah, I could learn something.
Why do I need to learn them? What's the word? Masking? Is that what I don't know?
Well, yeah. What was something the other day that you were trying? Oh, we were talking about templates, sending templates to each other. It's difficult for me to put some of these templates together because just of how much I have to dumb them down. Like, I try to make them as easy as possible. And I sent you the movie one, and you were like, oh, I didn't follow that one thing. I just left it the way it was.
But I picked up on it though. That was really easy. You were like you had that layer of color.
No,
and
you
then
did.
And then you
did what anybody that uses programs should do. You said, I can do what I need to do this way, so I'm just gonna completely skip these steps. You did it a different way, which is fine.
I had a lot of fun making that Fortnite video though, and I've recorded a couple more things since then too. But I don't know, it was kind of fun to do that, just because I got to stretch some muscles I don't usually get to stretch when I'm putting videos together. Like it actually took time to produce that video because I was combining a lot of different things as opposed to me very, very quickly doing a review of something.
Yeah,
it's a lot different.
Working the old day job lately has been a little bit tough because I've been working more hours, and man,
because the Patreon's let up.
I just didn't have the fucking, I don't know, my energy was just like maxed out. I slept until 11 today, which is super unlike me. Anyways, one of the things that's unfortunately fallen by the wayside a little bit is making videos. But I love the thing that I don't know if we both kind of fallen into it, but maybe a little bit we have. Having like these different branded videos that have different flavors to them. Like my album reviews are very, very, very different than my retro reviews, and my retro reviews and album reviews are very, very different than my sound offs. My sound off episodes, I love doing those, man. Those are so much fun. I don't know how much traction they get, but I barely edit them at all. It's like a mini podcast.
Right.
And it's just really nice. Like, I just like doing it. Supposed to give you like that? But
okay, very good.
I did a music video reaction the other day, and I had to make my own thumbnail template because I didn't have your template.
Yeah. That's okay.
Did you watch my music video reaction?
I didn't watch your reaction, but I saw the comments.
I wanted to.
You had the exact opposite experience that I had, which is just it's always going to be the case.
I wasn't really negative though. I wasn't really negative.
Yeah,
in the video.
But people were just so much nicer.
We haven't talked about this. What do you think of that new Under Oath single?
I like it.
You do like it?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
I mean, I think it's jarring to some people that Under Oath sounds like this now. Yeah. I like the first song more. But I don't think it's bad by any means.
It's not a bad song.
I think it'll make a whole lot more sense within the context of the album. And usually I'm not that disciplined. Usually I get very disappointed.
Yeah.
When I realize, the entire album sounds like this thing. Like, ugh. But I
had that same take with That's the Spirit. Like, I kind of didn't care for that album when the first time I heard it. I was like, I don't know if I like this. And now I'm like, fuck, this is incredible.
I'm on board.
I do think I said this somewhere else. I think it might have been to Brando, but I do think this is a sign of Spencer and Aaron shoehorning themselves into the idea of what Under Oath is. They've both been a part of more mainstream sounding solo projects like Sleepwave and the Almost. Sleepwave, a lot of people, somebody joked and said, "Oh, this is Underwave." That's what somebody called it in the comments.
Funny.
It's funny and it's true because the song is not too far off. Sleepwave was a massive failure. A massive fucking failure.
So much, in fact, that I have no fucking idea what that is.
Really?
And
are you serious?
Yes.
So Spencer from Under Oath had another band after Under Oath broke up called Sleepwave.
Yeah, I had no idea.
No, it's like really accessible radio rock sort of vibes. It was a failure because right now on Spotify, they only have 14,000 listeners, which I know people have only, but for Under Oath, that's a fucking failure.
Right.
And if that's what they're trying to do here, there's a reason why it didn't work. I don't think they're that good at making these songs.
I don't know.
I mean, they're well written, but just because it's...
I think this is just a response to... I know we always go back to everybody's following Bring Me the Horizon. But I think they just want a little bit of that action. Same with Plot and You. I mean, I just
but
think
even
it's
Plot was like
it's
more interesting.
I know,
Yeah.
but I'm on board with Under Oath.
Do you know who's producing this album? I forget the guy's name.
No.
He's like worked with like 303 and
oh god,
yeah, a lot.
I think
like,
the mix of that song is bad.
Awful. I
was gonna say, and I could tell
it sucks.
Yeah, if I notice that your mix is bad, it's bad.
Yeah,
like yes, if you ever hear that come out of my mouth, it's the fucking truth.
Right.
And but I think the song is fine. I'm on board if they're gonna sound like that. I think they are reacting to some of the success that other bands like this are seeing in this kind of evolution. So I think they wanted a little bit of that action. So you're right.
Speaking of mixes and Bring Me the Horizon and all that stuff, I know you were kind of following along with it. This thing that I've embarked upon recently, this whole YouTube channel of producers and long story short with it, there's a YouTube channel called URM. I think it's Ultimate Recording Machine. Anyways, they have this thing called URM Academy, and they have this other thing, the show called Nail the Mix, and you can become a member of it. And basically, a band comes in, they give you the raw tracks to their song, and you can do your own mix of it. But they also have an entire tutorial from start to finish with the person that actually mixed the song. And this month it's Doomed from Architects.
Such a fucking great idea.
No, that song is amazing. Not only is it amazing, it's one of the most insanely produced songs I've
What
ever
song
heard
did you
in my
say?
life. Doomed. The first song on that.
I thought you said it sounded like you said by Architects though.
Oh, I'm sorry, I might have.
So I thought,
well,
did you mean
they did an Architects one? They've done an Architects one.
I was going to say, did you mean Doomsday or Doomed?
Yeah, I meant Dune from
Dune
Bring Me the Horizon.
Okay.
Yeah, the production on that song is incredible. I just found this out. Little side note: the guy that is doing the mixing tutorial and that did mix the song, he actually did the most recent Don Broco album.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So he's like, I guess that's something he's known for, is just putting all this stuff together. There are almost 100 stems for this project.
Why?
I mean, you listen to the song, man, and it's a masterpiece.
Yeah, I hear 6.
The vocal layers themselves are just unreal. There's strings in it. There's choirs in it. There's electronics. There's live drum sounds. There's electronic drum sounds. Obviously, there's some guitars and this and that. It's just fascinating, man. And it's crazy. It is a really good idea.
So did you get the raw vocal? The raw vocal is there?
It is tuned. It's tuned. It's a tuned vocal.
I thought you said it was the raw.
No,
I saw you talking about it.
But here's what's shocking to me. This is like some technical nerdy shit, I guess. But even though it's tuned, it's not a smooth vocal. Like it sounds auto-tuned. Like it sounds choppy, which is strange because when I listen back to the song, it doesn't sound like that. You
can't pick up on it.
So you better bet your sweet ass when they do this tutorial, I'm gonna be like, how the fuck are they doing this? Because like, that's what I'm fascinated about, man. Like, I don't know. A lot of this stuff is over my head, like way too technical for me. I'm sure people like Josh would be able to follow along with it.
Yeah.
Not me, but I do think it is a cool idea.
Speaking of Josh, Brave the Storm fall 2018?
Oh, yeah? Was it fall 2017 before?
So irritated.
Did you get an update? Are you in like a group text or something where, what do they say when you pester them? Well, Snelling, we're working.
I actually stopped texting the group and I just text Eric and I'll go, you writing with Josh? Well, we try to get together and then I'm just like, okay, I don't want.
Yeah.
You've already failed me.
I hope they're listening to this right now.
They're not.
I hope they are. I was working on vocals today. You want to be in my band?
No. Thanks, though.
No problem.
I'll do a guest vocal.
I thought I had a spot for you, and Carl was like, I want to do that. I was like, okay, that's cool.
What do you think about Steven Spielberg?
Oh, God, here we go. Back to, I'm just kidding.
What do you think about Spielberg saying that Netflix movies don't deserve to be considered for Oscars. They're supposed to be nominated for Emmys because they're on the TV, Jay.
I think Steven Spielberg should have a bag of Reese's Pieces and a smile and shut the fuck up, because he is an old dinosaur and people haven't been inspired by him, which I respect, but now they've done it way better than him.
That's not true.
Go into your retirement home and watch and watch, what's that guy's name? Colin Trevorrow make a more successful film than you. Jurassic World.
No.
But seriously, Steven Spielberg, what a dumb statement.
Yeah.
How about, no, I don't like stuff like this.
I think it sucks.
This was very frustrating. Didn't Netflix stuff just get banned from Cannes?
Yeah.
Why?
Look, here's the reality.
There's literally no reason.
Here's why I'm disappointed.
In fact, hang on. I'm going to pause you for a second. Hang on. Okay, resume.
The reason why I'm disappointed is because a film like, what was the damn movie? Mudbound that came out on Netflix. Why is that any different than The Color Purple? Something that he's done. I mean, it's just as deserving for Oscar contention as something that he's done like that. And it blows my mind. The Oscars, Netflix wasn't available when the Oscars came out. So it's not like there's a fucking written rule that just shouldn't be the case.
Right.
Oscars are about movies. It doesn't matter how.
It's not like they're threatening them. I mean, obviously Netflix is threatening the film industry, I guess, but they're not there yet.
But that's not. But that's also just not what it's about.
Yeah, right.
You're just awarding the best movies. It doesn't matter how they're distributed or not. It just doesn't. It's just and sooner or later. There aren't going to be any fucking the movies that are in contention for the Oscar. Those are in theaters. The least amount compared to all of other, it's absurd. The movies that he is talking about are in limited release,
right? And
it only matters that they're in LA. Why? That's more limiting than a fucking Netflix.
Yeah.
I don't want to have the same conversation that we usually have on this topic, but it's just such a lame idea.
Well, I think the thing that's even more frustrating about it is it's not even like the Oscars, Netflix not being eligible for the Oscars. It's not like that affects Netflix. It's not like it's going to put a dent in the quote unquote battle between Netflix and regularly distributed films. All it is it's just saying you play over there and we'll play over here. And it's just stupid. Like, even though we're the same thing, I mean, it's segregation. It's fucking film segregation, and it's just dumb. It's just dumb, Steve. What the hell is wrong with you?
You should watch the Steven Spielberg documentary.
No.
On HBO.
No.
It's really, really good.
I don't like him. I'm not going to see Ready Player One.
You're out of your mind. Oh, I am. Pacific Rim.
Did you see that movie?
No.
Oh, guess what I watched the other day?
Tomb Raider.
No. Kayla went and saw Tomb Raider. She liked it.
It's good.
She enjoyed it.
It's a good movie.
I watched Jumanji last night.
How was it?
It's fucking great.
Good.
It's not a great movie. It's a really, really good movie. It's better than most Marvel films. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm excited to watch it. Almost watched it last night.
It is really good. Like, I really enjoyed it.
Good.
It deserves. It's got like almost 80% on Rotten Tomatoes, I believe. And man, it deserves all of its the money that it's made. I get it, man. I feel like comedies like that are just well thought out, well executed, well done. I feel like they don't come out as much anymore. But shout out to Jake Kasdan. Lawrence Kasdan's son.
I'm excited to watch it. I almost watched it last night. Pacific Rim 2, it dethroned Black Panther.
Did it really?
But think of how far away we are from Black Panther.
I know,
Panther,
but
at this point, Black Panther's only going to make $10 million.
Right.
I mean, and so it accidentally dethroned Black Panther. But
Yeah.
I'm surprised it's actually not making that much money. It's kind of fascinating.
I'm not surprised by that.
I think right now, and we still have Sunday, but I think the estimate's like 25 million. I was like, my God. Like, Rotten Tomatoes aside,
What is the score for it?
it's like a 40 or something.
Yeah.
It's not good. And our boy Roka despised. Did you see him rip the movie on Instagram?
No.
Roka ripped.
Yes.
Roka is someone who is a Transformers apologist.
I love a good Instagram movie review. It's like one of my favorite things.
Roka is a Transformers apologist. So you think, of course, Roka will see anything and accept it if that's the case. But no, he laid into this movie.
As you should.
So yeah, I'm shocked because Rotten Tomatoes aside, the fact that it's a summer movie, a dumb movie, a summer movie in March, a dumb movie, robots fighting each other. I think visually it looks compelling. With John Boyega, it's like it still deserves more than that. I think I'm just kind of shocked. I'm really shocked that it's only going to make about 25 million this weekend. I thought it would have done at least 35, 40.
I remember watching I saw the first one in theaters, which is odd.
Me too.
For me to say, but I just remember walking out of that movie with just the most vanilla reaction to it, just being like, okay. Like,
I actually thought it was really cool, but I never responded to the Del Toro isms about it. That Ron Perlman being that black market dealer of the organs and how weird him and Charlie Day were and that other scientist. That I didn't care at all about that part. But I liked Charlie Hunnam and the ideas behind the Jaegers and all that stuff. I thought that was cool. There's that scene, I can't think of how it's done, but it's when the Asian girl is a little girl and she's walking through the city with a kaiju attacking. I thought that scene was beautiful and extremely memorable. It was a nightmare sequence of some kind or something. But I never responded to the Del Toro-isms, the weirdness to it. So, and I thought this movie, yeah, they have the Charlie Day, the carryover of that character, but this movie looked like it was ignoring that aspect of it, and it was going to be more popcorny. So I'm just surprised it's not doing better.
Yeah, I just felt like the heat meter was kind of low on it. I think in a world where the tentpole movies are reaching as high as they've ever gotten, I mean, it's wedged in between the end of Last Jedi, Black Panther being the biggest fucking thing in the world.
Now officially the highest grossing superhero movie ever.
Avengers coming up soon. Solo coming up soon. I mean, a franchise that's not really a franchise. I mean, this is essentially Kingsman. But Kingsman had a comic book behind it, but still.
Last question. Speaking of summer movies, did you like the Deadpool 2 trailer?
Yeah, I thought it was fine. Again, I sort of had the same take for Deadpool that I did with Avengers Infinity War, is that we're so close to it now that I just really just want to see the movie, even though this is like the first true official trailer we had gotten. I'm always going to be in for this movie, specifically because of Cable. I'm interested to see what this movie does for the rest of Fox. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because I know we've got Dark Phoenix coming up. Dark Phoenix could potentially
supposedly really good.
Could potentially play a role in the Cable stuff, because it does in the comic books.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. I think I'm just excited to see the movie, but I'm excited to see what Fox, especially because Fox is still, I feel like, are they still in limbo with the whole Disney thing?
Yeah, it still hasn't gone through yet.
Yeah. So, I mean, could this be the last Deadpool film we see for a while?
No.
Okay.
It'll still carry on as usual, I think.
Business as usual.
I think you and I both arrived. We first thought of Looper because we saw the kid. He's coming back in time. We both thought that, of course.
Terminator vibes as well.
Definitely. I was shocked. I didn't realize, and you're more of a Cable fan than I am, I didn't realize that Cable was going to be playing the villainous role. I thought it was going to be a buddy-up comedy film, and I thought they were going to form X-Force together.
Right.
But it looks like Deadpool forms X-Force to take out Cable, and then Cable will probably join by the end of the movie because we are getting that inevitable X-Force movie. I didn't realize Cable was going to be said villain of the entire thing, which is cool.
Well, I think there's probably a piece of the plot that's missing too.
Yeah.
In terms of like, yeah, I think there's a piece of the plot that's missing. I think Cable poses a threat in this movie simply because he's coming back in time to do a job, obviously, and they don't quite understand why he needs to do this job. They don't have the context that he does. But the best thing about the Cable, for me, when I read Cable and Deadpool, the comic book, they're just so opposing individuals and personalities. I mean, Deadpool is Deadpool, and Cable is just like, I mean, this is a guy who's been through some shit, and he has a goal in mind. I mean, in the comic books, his main overarching goal is to defeat Apocalypse. Apocalypse is obviously he's the Thanos of the X-Men universe, and he's literally chasing him through history, trying to do so. And when you combine that with Deadpool, it's just like I'm just a guy doing some things.
Right. I guess because I thought it was going to be buddy cop in a way, I was kind of worried that is it going to be too much like what we saw in Deadpool with Deadpool and Colossus?
Yeah.
That foil of a character. And now that I have more context, Cable is nothing like Colossus as it used to be. But I was a little bit worried about that. But yeah, I liked the Looper stuff. And, you know, people were talking about, I think I even brought it up. We were talking about how concerned we might be because somebody said that the screening wasn't that great. And then people were like, oh, blah, 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 blah about the reshoots. But apparently it's like testing through the roof.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be a sequel that we deserve without a doubt.
I'm
happy to report that.
There was a conversation on Movie Talk that I thought was interesting. Basically, it was Mark Ellis talking about how he liked Deadpool 1. He's interested in seeing the new movie, but it's just not really, his heat meter wasn't really resonating with him. It just felt like he should be more excited for it than he was. Where's your heat meter?
It's
Deadpool
funny
film?
because that movie, it feels, I don't anticipate it the way I anticipate a superhero movie.
Yeah.
I anticipate it the way
it came out like 2 years ago? The first Deadpool film?
2016,
yeah.
Right? It came out the same year as Civil War and BVS.
They literally released the movie, and within like a week, it seemed like they announced that they were working on the next one already.
Yeah.
I don't remember the last time a movie one actual character like that when's the last time a character like that has had a movie that quick back to back? Take like
it would have been Iron Man.
They had one that quick between each other?
Well, in phase 1 of the MCU, it was Iron Man, Hulk, Iron Man 2.
Oh, really?
Whereas, it took Thor 5 years to get a sequel or something like that. So, yeah, Iron Man 2 was the third movie in the MCU, and that was a reaction to Iron Man being so successful. So it was definitely Iron Man. That's actually not even what I was really getting at. That movie, because of the effects, that movie can move a lot quicker than some others. But I was going to say, I don't anticipate it in the way that I anticipate any other superhero movie.
Yeah.
I anticipate it in the way that, like,
we were never supposed to care that much to begin with, though.
Well,
right?
no, I anticipate Deadpool 2 in the way that I anticipate that comedy looks really interesting.
Yeah.
Like, it's funny that I think of Deadpool that way.
Yeah.
It's like that movie looks really good as opposed to we've waited years for something like Infinity War. Deadpool is just a comedy to me, more so.
We don't have a narrative to really latch on to as much.
What it's purely it's just the humor of it. I'm just talking about the tone and the character of the film itself. It's not how much I may or may not know about the trailer.
Yeah.
It's the fact that I interpret that movie, and I think it's part of the intention of Deadpool. I interpret that movie differently than I do any other MCU movie. So,
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm excited to see the movie. It's a part of this weird, crazy few months of movies that we get back to back to back. Which I guess, I mean, summer come early. Summer movie season comes a little bit earlier than normal. I guess I looked at the whole movie slate for like the next few months, and there's a lot of stuff that I didn't know what it was exactly. So, I don't know. I guess I'm excited for people to try to win me over to go see certain films that come out. Shifting gears real quick on another very just some unrelated topic. Do you mind? Are we weekly episode or after party?
I have no idea.
If we, you know what? Here's my vote. I'm just gonna do this on air right now. I think we should call it weekly, and just everybody will be like, "What? Where are they going? Your timestamps? Fuck your timestamps. There's no way in hell I'm doing timestamps for this episode." YouTube. This report came out on Pitchfork the other day. Sort of mentioned it to you off air, but I guess it came out at South by Southwest. I don't know how this information got out, but apparently YouTube is trying to get more people onto their paid subscription service, YouTube Red. And one of the ways that they're doing this is they are targeting people that listen to music on YouTube. So not like, oh, I'm sending you a song and you're going to listen to it. Not necessarily even people that watch music videos. There are people out there that exist that use YouTube like Spotify. And they're targeting those people by basically saying they're going to drop ads in like 3-minute songs to just annoy the shit out of people, hopefully to get them just to get their subscription service that's non-subscribe or with no ads. What's your reaction to something like this, hearing that YouTube is doing
Are the ads going to play within the song?
Yeah, just like they do within videos.
That's really shitty.
You think so?
I do think it's okay. So let me express my viewing habits. For one, I've never understood the people that listen to music via YouTube.
Same.
I've had friends.
Just get Spotify.
I've had friends that pull up a YouTube music video and just plug it up. For one, the quality's not as good. If it's in the car and you're listening to it as music, the quality's not as good. And
Carl does this.
Yeah, I don't understand that.
Luke did this for a minute.
It uses data. I have an unlimited plan. I don't know.
I do.
I get it. I don't understand it when there are music services where you can do that. But then again, people are. I guess their argument is I have unlimited data and I don't have to pay for a Spotify subscription. It is free.
Which there is free Spotify, but I've still yet to meet anybody that uses free Spotify, which is odd.
Sturgill might.
Really? I think the only thing, I think you get ads, and I don't think you can listen to music. Like, I don't think you can listen to an album in consecutive order. I think
I don't think so either.
My take on this was that. I was like, go ahead.
I wasn't done with my viewing habit.
Well, you have to speak continuously, because when you take breaks, it makes me think that you're done.
But I do understand
Look like
people
Green Arrow over there.
I do understand people that watch music videos on their TV. So the fact that YouTube would be to be shitty and to drop an ad in the middle of a music video,
I don't think that's what they're saying, though.
I just asked you, are they talking about inserting it inside the video?
Not the video, in music, in like just music only. They're also targeting, so like our podcast, I mean, I get it, it's an hour long.
Okay, but so you're talking about an image only.
Yeah, static image type of thing.
Okay.
They're targeting that. They're also targeting people who have those types of habits where it's like, oh, I'm at work, I'm listening to like 3 hours straight of, I don't know, The Chariot. I have no idea. But do they even have 3 hours worth of music? And they're going to target people like that. So continue on with your point.
Well, it's music. It's 3 to 5 minutes.
Right.
And that's just a disruption. That's just not how it should work. It's just not. And there are other ways that I think, like, you know what, the best feature for a music listener, I think, the fact that YouTube Red, at least with Android, I don't know how it is on iPhone, but when I am watching a video on YouTube and if I wanted it to play through my phone, I have to keep the screen on.
Right.
YouTube Red, you don't.
Yeah. Such a small feature.
That is a great selling point.
I agree.
Even though it bothers me, it doesn't bother me enough to do that. That is a much better way to get people to go to YouTube Red.
Yeah.
Good original content is another good. The original content that's on YouTube Red has never ever translated into our zeitgeist. Like,
this is somewhat slightly off this specific topic, but one of the things that I think is ridiculous about YouTube, and it's not YouTube's fault, good on them. YouTube is still the easiest place to share media. Like, it's the easiest place to share a podcast. It's the easiest place for me to share a song because not everybody has Spotify. Like, when I'm sharing a song on our Facebook group, I'll share the video from YouTube because anybody can watch it.
Right.
Again, same thing with podcasts. Like, there are platforms out there. There are platforms out there for us to share podcasts on, like things like SoundCloud and this and that. We can even do it via Podbean, but YouTube has that brand already to where they see, I guess they just see it's a YouTube video and they click on it. I don't know. It's
right.
Fascinating.
It just annoys me. I know if I was going to listen to music on YouTube, if it's at my desktop, because sometimes bands drop songs on YouTube, and that's going to be the only time that I do that.
Like Separated.
Otherwise, sure. Otherwise, I'm listening to it on Spotify. But if I wanted to watch a music video or listen to a static image song for the very first time, the last thing I want, if I'm hearing a song for the first time, is an ad to interrupt it.
Right.
And it's not going to make me go to YouTube Red. It's just not.
So a few things with this. I think YouTube is within their right to do this. I have no problem.
Well, sure.
I have no problem with them doing this from a business perspective. If people are so aggrieved, well, first of all, there's no guarantee that the people are going to just automatically go from, to their streaming service. In fact, it could potentially push people away or do the opposite effect. If you don't want ads, there is a thing called ad blocker. I'm not saying do it, but if you want to use it, you can, and it works. It'll just completely no ads on YouTube anymore. Congratulations. You could also just go to Spotify and be fine with it, So there's just no guarantee that what they're doing. I don't know if I would put the energy into doing something like that. I feel like there could be better things, like get better content, come up with better features.
But Jay, that's what I'm saying. I have Spotify. So if I'm going to listen to a song on YouTube, it's either going to be a music video, which you said you don't even know if it's about music videos, or it's going to be if that's the only way I can listen to a song. Otherwise, I will open it in Spotify.
Right.
So YouTube, if I'm listening to a song for the very first time and you're putting in an ad to convert me to YouTube Red,
right,
I'm not going to YouTube Red.
But you're not going to be affected by it.
I still have Spotify.
You won't be affected by it because you don't have the listening habits that they're targeting. Again, I'm talking about the people. They can tell the people who are using YouTube like Spotify or like Pandora,
yes,
whatever it's going to be. If you're just a general casual user, you're probably not going to be affected by it.
I either didn't hear you or you didn't say it, but you were talking about, you weren't just saying they're attaching it to all of
no.
They are targeting people with those habits.
Yes, they're pinpointing the individuals who use those services like they would a music streaming service, as opposed to people that are just casually checking it out. Like, for instance, if let's say, I'll just, even though this is definitely not the case, say Eric does that. He doesn't have Spotify. He listens to music on YouTube like it's Spotify, but you don't. And I send a video out on the Facebook group. You can probably click on it and get to play it like normal. If he went there and clicked on it because he's a habitual music listener on YouTube, he's probably going to get an ad.
So I have less of a problem with this because
okay.
Because I mean that's exactly how Spotify converted me to pay for it. Because I was so all the things that we said about Spotify, the fact that you can't listen to any song, just any song you want. You can't listen to an entire album without being disrupted. It's kind of the same to me, but like I still stand by the fact that I like the idea of the screen feature.
Right.
I think that works better. Having better content on YouTube Red, but ultimately, if all they did on YouTube was listening to music and then converted to YouTube Red, then that listener is doing the exact same thing that I've done with Spotify.
Yeah.
So I have less of a problem with that. I guess that was the missing link, that it was specific people that they were going to target.
Yeah. Other music news stuff I can bring up. We talked about it. I admitted this on the music show, but this Panic at the Disco album announcement and 2 singles that they dropped. If this was going to be Sight and Sound Weekly, and maybe it is, I couldn't avoid the fact that Panic at the Disco announcing an album, it was going to be one of the biggest music topics of the week. It would be hard to actually dethrone it. Because I would even go so far to say that if Panic at the Disco and Fall Out Boy announced an album on the same day, I would honestly probably say that Panic at the Disco would be more relevant today. Even though Fall Out Boy might be the bigger band and have a wider reach, just relevance, especially with our audience, I think Panic at the Disco, because they've been a little bit, not only a more consistent, well, I don't even know. Yeah, they've been a more consistent band, I would say. And they've also been more critically well received. Like in the past decade, like Panic at the Disco has received some decent attention from certain sites.
Fall Out Boy's always been Fall Out Boy though. Like
of course.
But Panic at the Disco was their band, and then it became the Last Two Guys.
Yeah.
So I think like this is kind of funny to equate this, but like the last time we heard from Pete Wentz, it was because he was dating Ashley fucking Simpson. That's how dated that is.
Yeah.
Brendan Urie was a Vine star.
Right.
So, but in terms of music though, I still think Fall Out Boy has a much higher chance of being on the radio as opposed to
absolutely. That's what I mean. The best way I can relate this. So if Walking Dead and Atlanta had their premiere on the same night, which one would we talk about?
Atlanta.
Exactly. Because Atlanta, it's more relevant, even though it's a smaller show, and it's received more.
I would say Atlanta's more relevant. I don't know if that's the word I would use.
Really? You wouldn't use
Walking Dead is way more relevant than Atlanta.
Yeah, but relevant in, when I say relevant, I don't necessarily mean specifically for crossover appeal. I mean relevant for specifically the moment in time that we're talking about, because Donald Glover is as prolific as he is, because rap and hip hop music is as big as it is, because it's winning awards.
Because I think a lot of TV coverage has given up on The Walking Dead.
Well, yeah, and that's what I mean. That's actually
they moved on.
That speaks to my point. There's somebody that I hold in high regard that recently, in the last probably 3 to 4 years, put a Panic at the Disco album in their top 10 album of the year list. So, like, Fall Out Boy. Nobody gives a fuck about Fall Out Boy in that regard. Anyways, the point I'm trying to make with all this stuff is that with that being the music topic, I actually don't have a lot to say about it, because when Panic at the Disco blew up, that was right when I just had set sail on all of like mainstream crossover emo.
Right.
Bands like Taking Back Sunday, My Chemical Romance, all those bands.
What a great time.
I was like, even like some of the later used stuff that people probably really do like, I just didn't give a shit about it. I was so into like metalcore and hardcore and post-hardcore and all this stuff that I just couldn't be bothered. To this day, I don't think I've ever listened to one Panic at the Disco song all the way through. Not one. Ever.
Why? You've never listened to I Write Sins, Not Tragedies.
I don't think I couldn't even tell you what the hook of that song sounds like.
Well, imagine.
No, it sounds like you're performing theater right now.
That's how the song starts.
Yeah, I know. So I couldn't.
Well,
really,
in fact,
couldn't really talk much about this band, but it's important for me to be forthcoming about that and transparent. Again, just to let you guys know how fucking hard it is to be a music person. I don't know. Does Panic at the Disco album excite you at all?
I chimed in with haven't you people ever heard of closing the goddamn door? No.
Isn't that a Fall Out Boy song? Anyways,
okay, all right, yeah, those were the good days. The Fall Out Boy, Panic at the Disco. Did you ever listen to The Cab?
Yeah, of course. They had one amazing song.
They had a song that had Brendan Urie and Patrick Stump featured, both. So, and it was just an orgy of three bands that sounded similar.
The Cab had
The Cab was like if the NSYNC, if
I was
there
about
were-
to say the
if
Cab
NSYNC
had one
was
song that
rock.
was amazing, except they always seemed like an emo boy band.
it sounded like if NSYNC was rock. Go back and listen to the Cab's first album, One of Those Nights. Listen to One of Those Nights and Bounce. Bounce is the one that sounds like an NSYNC song, but it's really, really good.
There's like a whole, you know what bands that came out of that era that I did appreciate? Bands like Cartel. Obviously, what's that band called that you and I both like? Conditions.
Yes.
Yeah. Acceptance was before that, but Amberlin, of course.
Right.
Seosin.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah.
Does
Heat Meter with Panic at the Disco with you?
there's a time I've always respected Panic at the Disco. I didn't drop off of Panic at the Disco because of the quality of their level of music, and not to say that their quality isn't lowered. I'm saying I'm not aware of it.
Yeah.
I left Panic at the Disco behind basically out of pure interest and out of relevance and just in me and my life and my listening habits. So you asked me what my stance was on Panic at the Disco. I think their sophomore album, Pretty Odd, is the best thing that they've done to my knowledge. I actually think I hold that album in high regard. I think it's better than their first one. And I thought it was the second coming of the Beatles when it happened, because it was just for one, it was completely different than their first album.
Right.
You could tell that they were interested in other things instead of doing that whole emo thing again. And I really thought it was fascinating. They had the hit 9 in the Afternoon. Are you familiar with that song?
Nope. No idea.
Because it's 9 in the afternoon.
That's the first time I've ever even heard
Your
that.
eyes are the size of the moon. That album,
Yeah.
it's great from start to finish. It's really, really good. But anyway, when you said new Panic at the Disco, we're gonna talk about it. I thought that's a familiar face. I'm gonna check it out. I haven't yet, and you told me that there's no need.
Do you want my take?
Yeah.
There's 2 songs. Hit play. I could not turn either one of them off fast enough. I fucking hated it.
What's the sound?
Here's my problem.
Like genre wise.
Here's my problem.
Okay.
First of all, it reminds me a lot of the new Fall Out Boy, which is bothersome. Listen, let's not beat around the bush. Papa J, he likes his sad songs. He likes his dark, moody, dreary songs. And I like a good pop song, like the 1975. The new Toni Braxton album was quite a treat. Love me some Drake. But anytime I hear something that is just overtly happy sounding, it just comes across as corny to me.
Whimsy.
Kind of my equivalent of whimsy. It was corny. It was cheesy. It was kitschy. Not the good kind of kitschy like Taylor kitsch, but I just hated it. I hated fucking listening to it.
That's disappointing.
It was almost as bad as listening to that god awful Jack White album. Holy shit. Right now, I'm about to tell you.
Did you already do this on music?
A little bit. The Jack White album is one of the worst musical things I've heard in a really, really long time. It is legitimately unlistenable. There is nothing about that album that is good. Okay? I don't like talking mad you know me. I'm the guy that I want you to leave a nice comment on YouTube. This is an album that would get me a lot of shit. And I have no problem reviewing it. because it is terrible. It is just terrible.
Are you going to review it on YouTube?
I will review it on YouTube. In fact, I might even do it in the same way I did that August Burns Red album that I did. You know what I thought about while I was listening to that Jack White album? I thought, no wonder.
Crawling through glass.
I said, no wonder this sounds the way it does. I mean, look at the guy.
He looks like the Joker.
He looks like the son of Jack Sparrow.
Yeah. He does look like he's in a Tim Burton movie at all times.
Yeah, he does.
And that bothers me.
Yeah. There's nothing redeemable about that thing.
Sorry to hear that.
It's very upsetting to me.
I like the Ray Contours. He's friends with Conan. I like Conan.
Yeah, I don't know.
O'Brien, not the Barbarian.
I don't get it. I just don't get it. It really bums me out. Other music that came out this week. I don't remember. What do you think about The Weeknd?
I like him.
I'm tired right now. What do you think of the fact that he's got his own comic book now with Marvel?
Well,
we should read it. Check it out.
What's it called?
Starboy.
I'm going to check it out.
Like his album.
I'm going to check it out.
The album cover looks cool, except I was reading some of the names of the people in it. I don't know.
Like the names of the characters?
Yeah.
Like, does it sound dumb?
I don't know.
Even on comic book standards?
Yeah, like Darius Starchild or something like that, or like
Jay.
Randy
Jay.
Moonshadow, or I don't know.
Jay.
What?
Luke Skywalker.
That's fair. Yeah, you know what? You're right. I'm going to give it a chance. With all this happening, the internet decided to basically come to the conclusion that The Weeknd is about to put out a new album. You know what my response to that is? No shit. You fucking idiots. He made this announcement. He said on Instagram, it said mastering. Guess what this was? Guess what this followed up, or this what preceded all of this post? Pictures of him in the studio recording an album.
Oh man,
music news sucks.
What you're doing right now, the way you're reacting is every time I see a headline from Heroic Hollywood.
God.
Every single headline.
This just in, Benedict Cumberbatch is probably going to be in Infinity War. No shit.
It's not about being obvious. It's the fact that the headline is all you have.
Oh, okay.
Because film blog.
Actually, that's how. Yeah.
Every single Heroic Hollywood headline, the headline is all you need to know. You go into the article. The article is just 3 paragraphs reiterating the headline, as opposed to giving you more information. I said it before. It's obsolete movie blogging.
I have an
It does, unless it's an opinion piece. It's nothing.
Listen,
I'm telling you.
I'm excited about a Weeknd album.
Okay.
Music news, do way better. You suck ass. You should have been talking about this the second you saw him sitting in front of a mixing board, for God's sakes. I have a off-topic conversation.
The best music news was Drake playing Twitch. Okay, go ahead.
That's true. When you watch YouTube, who is one YouTuber you watch where you sit there and you watch him and you think, 2 thoughts. I need 2 thoughts. Because I'm thinking of one person in particular when I'm asking this question.
Am I going to have 2 answers?
I don't know.
Or is it going to be one answer that fits both questions?
Maybe. You can interpret it however you want.
Okay.
Either A, you watch them and you think to yourself, how in the hell is this person this big on YouTube?
All right, I've got my answer for that.
Okay, and 2, you see them and you think, and while you're watching them, you're just uncomfortable for them because they're so fucking awkward on camera.
I think I have my answer for that too.
Okay.
It might not be the best example, but
okay.
You know who has no business having over 1 million subscribers?
Do not say Anthony Fantano.
Chris Stuckman.
Oh, how dare you. I love Stuckman.
Stuckman is the most boring, big YouTube movie reviewer in out there. He is
been spoiling
boring.
movies lately.
He doesn't have hardly any personality. Unless if he's doing a hilariosity.
I was about to say his hilariosities alone.
If he does hilariosity, I'll give him that.
Yeah.
But when he's just doing a movie review, there are far more entertaining people doing movie review. The only thing that stands out about Chris Stuckman is that he ends every YouTube video with a shitty tagline, "Get Stuckmanized." And for whatever reason,
wait, I'm gonna throw another one in there for you. He has great backgrounds.
The general populace, for whatever reason, responded to "Get Stuckmanized." That is so shitty.
Didn't he get huge off of his Dragon Ball Z review? In that,
I don't know.
That's all you need is one good review. Like, look at Jeremy Johns with his Transformer thing. Okay,
Jeremy Johns is another example, but I don't. That's an easy example.
Okay,
I get him more than I get Stuckman.
Go to the second one, the one where you're watching them and you just feel uneasy just because they just are very awkward on camera.
Emergency Awesome.
That is exactly that is the exact person to cover both of those. That's the exact one I'm thinking of. Every time I see him, it looks like it's taken. If he had one of those meters like in Street Fighter that like fills up to like use your energy, it looks like that meter has been drained every time he does a video.
It's amazing.
Hats off to that guy.
Yeah.
That guy,
Charlie. Yeah.
That guy, I respect
all the props.
the hell out of him.
But it's hilarious to me that his audience is the kind of person that is excited by Daenerys Targaryen riding a dragon. His audience is excited about 70 superheroes fighting Thanos.
Right.
It's about all of the DC TV stuff. And then at all that excitement, and then they go to a guy, hey YouTubers, this is Charlie, and let's analyze. And it's like, how does that translate? This guy, how is he big on YouTube?
You know, I have a theory.
The equivalent is I think about how, and I don't know if I've said this on here or not. This can be a take on Sight and Sound Sports in 2020. This is for you, Ralph Lenardic. Adam Silver, the commissioner of the NBA. Do you know who he is? What he looks like?
Is he the one that looks like a toad?
He looks like he
salamander?
Is a lizard in a human skin. Adam Silver is the commissioner of the NBA. And if you look at him, just Google Adam Silver if you're not familiar with him. You will not believe that guy knows or is a fan of anything basketball.
Ridiculous.
So it's funny to me. That's how absurd he looks doing what he does. I equate that to Charlie. He hustles, he grinds.
Absolutely.
I respect the shit out of that. It's just funny how that personality doesn't fit for some reason.
So when I watch it, when I stumble upon his I'm not even subscribed to him. I'll just honestly, if you watch anything comic book related, he'll show up in your recommended feed. I remember one time, actually, I'll catch myself doing this quite often. If I just want to hear somebody talking about something, that's when I'll find myself watching his stuff, because I will be in the middle of watching him talk about something and he will be giving an opinion as if it's news breaking. And then I'll realize in the middle of it, I'll say, I don't think any of what he's saying is actually true.
Right.
Like he'll say stuff like, okay, we're going to do a trailer breakdown. And then he'll do the trailer breakdown of a particular scene and then equate that to some other bit of news to give you like a John Schnepp, like,
absolutely right.
This is for sure going to happen. And I'm like, no,
right.
No, you just like did your own.
This is an obvious hint that Moon Knight will appear later in the season.
You just extrapolated. That's all you did.
You're absolutely right. He does do that.
And then I realized like, oh, I'm entertained right now, but it's just because I want to hear somebody talking about the Punisher trailer or whatever.
Right.
So
he absolutely does do that.
Yeah. It's hilarious that we had that same
It's.
vibe.
I also don't get how he. It makes no fucking sense how fast his videos go up. Have you realized that?
Well, yeah.
He will put up a Game of Thrones recap the minute the episode ends. It's like, how did you produce that video?
Yeah.
Within a minute.
Right. It's not like he's getting screeners.
It's a 12-minute video that he put up the minute Game of Thrones ended. That he produced, exported, uploaded. It's like, how?
It's a 12-minute video he put up
The thumbnail.
10 minutes before the show is even done.
It's hilarious.
Yeah.
I don't know how he does it.
I don't get it either, but yeah, much respect. It is funny. I've been watching a lot of vaping videos lately. I'm in the
By
market.
emergency also.
I'm market for some new vaping gear. Yeah. Shout out to Jason Inman. I found out today that he ended his run with
DC All Access.
Yeah, DC All Access. And I'll tell you what made me feel a connection with him is
Happened
that
like 2 weeks ago.
he's one of us now. He's a grinder.
He always was.
He's on Grindr. I know, but
You know, he
when you don't have a job in the industry,
did you know
that's
he
when
produced Rhett and Link before they were big?
I don't even know what that is.
Rhett and Link, Good Mythical Morning, the probably most famous YouTubers in existence.
Nope. No clue. I'm 30.
I am genuinely shocked.
Sorry.
Wow.
Have you ever heard of Death Grips?
Is that a band?
Yeah.
No.
Actually, you have, and you don't know it because one of their songs was playing on Atlanta the other day. Do you remember when Darius was riding in the car with what's his name? With Earn, and they had that ridiculous music playing super loud?
Yeah.
Was that the guy going blah 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 blah? That's Death Grips.
Yeah. Okay.
They are, and that's how the song goes.
I know.
They are a experimental hip hop project. Their music, in my opinion, is the most abrasive thing that you could possibly listen to. Far more than any metal band that I've ever heard in my
What
entire
does
life.
this have to do with Jason?
Oh, nothing at all. I'm just,
Why did you bring him up?
just
Why did you
transitioned.
bring up Jason?
I just wanted to give him a shout out on Sight and Sound. Maybe it would help. Maybe it would help his numbers. I don't know. So Death Grips. Let's talk about Shrek 2 for a second. The Shrek 2. Okay. Death Grips has a new album coming out, and
Oh man.
people are probably wondering. Actually, this does tie into YouTube. People are probably wondering, like, why does anybody give a shit about what I'm talking about? I think about that all the time.
Yeah.
This band has no business being as big as they are. They're, in my opinion, I think they're big because they're sort of the darlings of music blogs and stuff, but especially because they're Anthony Fantano's favorite band.
Get the fuck out of here.
It's one of the only albums he's given a 10 out of 10 to.
Fantano annoys me.
And in fairness, I do think their music is quite fantastic. I think their music is. So when I talk, I brought this up on the music show the other day. When I talk about rap and hip hop music being as interesting as it is today, it's because it's such a young music genre that's going through the evolutions. You know, it still needs to go through its I guess sort of it has gone through its emo phase. It needs to go through like its metalcore phase. It needs to go through its psychedelic phase and this and that, like rock music did. But one of the reasons that I talk about that is because a band like Death Grips exists. Like there is the Dillinger Escape Plan of rap music, and it's this band. And it makes me so fucking happy. Their music is quite challenging. When I say that it's not for everybody, I really do mean it. Except their last album that they put out called Bottomless Pit is was probably one of the most accessible albums that they made. And I loved it. It ended up on in my album of the year list, and I had a really good time listening to it. This is a band that the internet also loves because they embrace things like 4chan and the dark web.
Yeah.
They also have some really wacky antics online. Like they were signed to a major record label, and they had their album coming out, and they didn't like something that the record label did, so they just released it on the internet. And they made the album cover a dick pic of the drummer's dick. And it's called No Love Deep Web. And you can see it on Spotify right now, except the dick is blurred out.
I don't like that idea. But everything else is cool.
The last interview that they did was like a year and a half ago. And it was a 30-minute interview that they uploaded to YouTube. Video of them talking to some guy, and the entire thing is silent. It's just a video
that's muted.
It's completely silent.
Oh God.
Yeah, what a weird band. Blah 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 blah.
That stuff kind of annoys me, but
videos of their
kind of
concerts
funny.
are great. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't. I don't know. It's kind of funny, but it also is kind of annoying to me.
Kanye West ripped off his sound on Yeezus from this band.
I saw this one guy who bothered me on Instagram. Someone posted some white. He was kind of like a rapper, but he was also kind of like a Law Dispute kind of thing. Hobo schoolboy or
somebody else was posting about that today.
Did you watch him?
No.
I don't know how I feel about it. You should look him up after that. It's like I can't remember his name. It's Hobo Snowman, or I don't know what the fuck it is.
Hang on, I have to stop you again. Okay, continue.
That's all I got.
So
I can look it up.
You want real talk right now? Hot take? Not even really hot take.
I think we've been real talking for the past 2 hours.
Here's some real talk. A lot of people like Law Dispute. I don't like Law Dispute.
Okay.
I don't really care for music like that. Like the
spoken word kind of thing.
Yeah. Blah blah blah.
I don't really care for it either that much.
You know somebody I know is in that band. Corey, the old guitar player of Life in Your Way.
Swear to God? Wait, he's in what? He's in Law Dispute?
Yeah. The Asian guitar player from Life in Your Way is in Law Dispute.
All right.
Okay. Me without you.
Hobo Johnson. That guy. Did you see him?
Yeah, I did see him.
Hobo Johnson. I think he's one of those guys, though. I don't like looking at him. That's the problem.
Let me see him again.
Oh, my God. I hate his look.
Kind of look like Reed Cottle for a second.
No, the faces he makes when he does it. I think he's just one of those artists that I can't see what he's doing. But maybe I could listen to his music.
John Ransdale here.
Maybe I could listen to his music and find it okay. But
you got anything else you want to go over? Where are we going to talk about?
We were going to talk about Atlanta, but I didn't watch last week's. And then we could just talk about
I just
Counterpart.
think, I mean, I can keep it short with Atlanta. I think Atlanta has just been a treat. Yeah, like the fact, just watching this show makes everything good in life. It makes me so happy. It's strange how linear the season is. Like that's something that just wasn't the case last. I mean, it's not incredibly linear. It still feels kind of like it's more akin to like Parks and Rec, where there is a linear storyline in terms of the time going on, but it's not like, it's not a sequential type of show.
This isn't in response to last week's the most recent episode because I haven't seen it yet. But episodes prior to that, there's an episode where Ern takes that one guy shopping at the mall, and he's talking about gift card fraud.
Yeah.
It's funny. I'm circling back to where I work. I experience people who do that all the time.
Oh, yeah?
Even at Lowe's. Even at Lowe's. Because basically what it is they have a fraudulent credit card.
Right.
And they will use it to try and buy like $400 or $500 worth of gift cards.
Yeah.
So they basically give themselves free money.
Yeah.
And so I've experienced that a lot working in retail. So I thought that was pretty funny.
I thought it was hilarious how he was like, I'm just going to try to steal these.
that what he says about
that's
an actual thing. We are not allowed to approach people that steal from the stores. There's a process to it. And so what he speaks to is actually a very real thing.
What was the other?
If it happens, it's either because that person is the loss prevention person who saw every bit of it, has it on camera, has every bit of evidence he needs to apprehend you,
Which I'm realizing that we could use an entire episode of Atlanta to be the basis of discussion for an entire after party.
We probably could. Yeah, and if that ever happens to you, it's either loss prevention because he has all the evidence in the world that you've done this, or it's someone who is breaking the policy of the company to do that. So,
are you picking up on this season where he brought up the fact that it's not as much Twin Peaks with black people as much as it is Curb Your Enthusiasm with black people?
I brought that up.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, I did.
I brought it up.
No, I said the show feels like Seinfeld, and then you said, "Oh, that's funny because he actually said it was Curb."
But are you getting that now that you're more caught up? Like, are you completely on board with that vibe?
Yeah,
especially with like the Spotify episode where people are treating him a certain way, and he's just like, "It's just real life right now."
I kind of got sick to my stomach a couple times, because of the racial things that they were doing, and none of it was violent.
Some interesting commentary though.
It was him trying to spend a $100 bill, waiting in line at the movie theater, and just being treated completely different. And it wasn't even malicious.
But the story,
part of it was just like, wow,
and the story had some interesting.
This must happen all the time.
But the commentary was as much about poverty as it was about racial injustice. Right?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, he was still somebody who was trying to flex on other people as somebody who didn't have money. And even when he went to that club, somebody of his own race turned around and did the exact same thing to him. So it's just as much of a commentary on classism, I guess, as it is on racism.
How hard did you laugh when he's in the strip club and the announcer's voice is just some phantom voice calling him out?
Yeah.
I lost my shit.
Yeah, it was hilarious.
Oh my God.
Or when they were sitting in the little booth and he was like, "Hey, can we get our champagne?" It's like, "We have to pay for it." Like, what? Yeah, all that stuff was great.
There's
some pretty absurd moments in the episode you haven't seen.
Really?
That make me happy.
I'm excited.
Yeah, and it seems like there's some more character exploration of all the characters too, and just like what makes them who they are. Especially,
Darius.
Oh my God. That's the other thing. This season, well, so the episode you haven't seen is definitely more of a focus on Donald Glover and Zazie Beetz than it has been anybody else.
Yeah.
But leading up to this point, I mean, my God, Keith Stanfield and I forget the guy's name that plays Paperboy, but they have just been incredible. That whole B storyline of that last episode that you watched about them having to find a new drug dealer.
Yeah.
It was great. And the fact that how they're having to couple all of that with, maybe that was 2 episodes ago, where they have to couple all of that with being famous. It was
the same episode.
Okay.
Because the drug dealers wants to post on Instagram that they know Paperboy, that they deal for.
They had that Christian mom that led off the episode that got them the extra money. Did you know that's taken from an actual thing that happened in rap and hip hop? I don't remember the artist.
No.
Where that happened.
Did you learn that from The Ringers, the Recapables?
No, I didn't.
How would we recap? I guess we're doing it right now. Recapping Atlanta.
The only way I could do a show about Atlanta is if we talked a little bit about the show and just talked about our own life experiences.
I was going to say.
How do they do it?
It would, I don't know. I mean, it would have to be an Atlanta podcast, but not an Atlanta recap show, if that makes any sense.
To bring it around full circle, I've tried to go and dip my toes in the water of Channel 33 and the rest of The Ringer. I'm not on board with the rest of them.
Why?
They're kind of nerdy.
The personalities?
Yeah, they're a little
Jason Concepcion.
They're a little too nerdy for me. I'm a little I need a little bit more character.
I think Chris Ryan is the nerdiest of them all.
Absolutely.
I mean, he is a white guy from Philly who's talking about. I mean, they have their own slang, which makes me cringe. Really their slang, their jargon makes me cringe a lot of the times. If you see what this guy actually looks like and hear that, I mean, it's just, it's unreal that they talk about the things that anytime they mention their book club, I cringe. Like we're reading the something in the first book in the Sky Tower series. Like anytime
Here's
they say
the
stuff like
worst
that,
thing about the watch is that they think that the rest of their audience gives a shit about what they care about.
anytime Andy Greenwald's like, my favorite album, I've been listening to this album, he names an artist that's never been heard of by anyone ever.
Well, that's not true. I've heard of many of the bands that he's talking about, but they're so in the pocket of him, of being this like middle-aged white guy that used to be obsessed with emo music and Sunny Day Real Estate from back in the day. It's just like I roll my eyes every time. And they're, oh my God, their love and passion for like really throwaway trap music, like how they love Migos.
Yeah.
And I'm just
ridiculous.
like, no.
Yeah. Let's talk about Migos, and then we'll review the Infinity War trailer, and then we're going to talk about the first book in the High Noon series written by James Douglas. It's like, what show is this?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
Bill Simmons is good when it's not. Bill Simmons' podcast is good when it's not too sportsy for me. I do listen to Bill Simmons.
Bill Simmons is nothing but a white piece of paper. What I mean by that is he just goes on air. Well, welcome to the Bill Simmons podcast.
He's just floating around.
He has an Eric voice. Welcome to the Bill Simmons podcast. This week, I'm going to be talking to Kanye West's producer. And then they just, like...
He's chill. He's relaxed.
Yeah, he is.
The best to ever do it.
Do you really think that?
No.
He's like the emergency awesome of podcasting. It makes no sense that
I don't agree. I don't agree.
Big,
but
as
I mean,
big as he is.
I like it, and I get what you're I like where you're going with that, but I don't agree. But that's funny.
How is he like one of the biggest pioneers of podcasting?
Bill
He
Simmons?
really is. Yeah.
Because he was one of the first ones to embrace it. And do
Yeah,
it.
but he's like,
he also started out in sports, which has the widest net cast
they're
possible.
just doing the
for an
same thing
audience.
they've always been doing, but on the internet. No, actually, the thing that I love the most about Bill Simmons is that he paved the way for this whole podcast as a network idea.
He did not pave the way.
Paved the way in the way that it was structured, combining it with a website and just delivering it in the way that he's done it. I think.
I guess the website maybe, but like things like Earwolf and there's two.
Yeah.
Like Earwolf and Wolf Pop and like there's more.
I get that
were out before, and I know that Grantland had its own history as well. But
Grantland was his deal.
I know.
Let me tell you about how podcasts work. I respect him. I respect the guy. I don't.
Oh yeah.
I don't listen to anything he does, and the fact that his HBO show was canceled is completely unsurprising.
I laughed my ass off when there's this. They have a movie podcast called The Rewatchables, and they just bring up a random movie, and a lot of people in the office talk about it. I laughed my ass off reading the title of the latest episode. Did you see it?
No. Did it look like a Sight and Sound?
It says probably. The title is
Why would that be?
It's not as funny when I say it, but it's funny when you read it. It says,
is it Inception's Inception?
No, it reads. It's not funny when I say it, but when you read it, it's funny. Inception with Jason Concepcion. But if you read it, it looks like they are rhyming words. So it's just funny to read.
Oh my God,
Inception with Jason Concepcion.
I do love that. You know what they really don't have? They don't really
a black guy?
No, they've got that's the Asian guy.
I don't think there's a black
Don't
guy.
they have that one with that one guy who you wanted to rip off his artwork from? What is his name? Wilkins? No. What is that guy's name?
What was the artwork?
It's like the blue cover with the black guy and the red.
Oh yeah, they do. Larry Wilmore?
Yeah.
The comedian?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. He's not an employee. He has a featured podcast.
They have a
talking about
podcast. They have a wrestling podcast.
I'm talking about like when you follow the Ringer on social media and you see everyone that works in the office. Larry Wilmore isn't one of those people.
He's just on their channel.
He just has a featured podcast for the channel. Yeah.
They don't really have a music podcast. They have podcasts that will like lightly talk about music. But they don't actually have.
It's funny how the Watch is branded as a music podcast, and they barely do anything with it. Yeah. And when they do something with it, it's featuring singer-songwriter Lucy White or some random person. Right after they talk about the Infinity War trailer.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's that show's a TV podcast that touches on other pop culture stuff every now and then.
That's correct.
But man, do they have some good takes. Not good with actually my favorite thing that's ever happened on the Watch was when Andy Greenwald shit on Big Little Lies and had to eat it when it won all the awards.
And when it was just a really fucking good show.
And he had to completely he didn't even to his credit, he didn't really backtrack on anything, but he just had to sit there and take it while every guest that came in to talk about the show was like, yeah, and Andy Greenwald, you're a fucking idiot for hating on the show.
Do you think he feels like he's eating it though?
No, especially because
I don't think
he's not even really like an official employee of.
I know
he's like a contract employee now.
Yeah,
I guess. But anyways, do you have anything else?
I don't think so.
What a crazy episode.
By the time this has come out,
should we be transparent with what's going on right now? It's late as hell.
It's not any later than when we typically record it. I think we're just both exhausted.
Yeah, it's been one of those times. You know what I'm looking forward to? Announcing our big announcement so that we can get it out of the way.
And I don't want to be too much of a tease. I don't want to dangle the carrot in front of the pony. It
might not be for everybody.
It's not for everybody, but I mean it's big for us.
Yeah, it's big for,
and
that's what I told Luke. I didn't tell him what it was, but I told him what this means a lot to Sight and Sound.
It's big. It's big for me and Jay, and we probably won't be able to disclose it for like another month or so. That's how I would imagine it.
Or the way Trajectory has worked in the past, maybe ever. It could just completely go away. I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah.
We'll see, though. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. Anyway, this comes out on a Monday, which means the day before that Sunday, Counterpart ended. So our last recap will come out later this week. Definitely check out that show. I think we'll probably touch on Counterpart maybe next week on Weekly. We can talk about the entire season maybe and pitch it to you guys without any spoilers. And then, of course, we'll have our full episode discussion out later this week.
Where do you foresee Counterpart being in your end of the year list? Do you see it making your list? If you did a top 10, for me it would be safe to say top 10. If you did a top 5, I mean, obviously the year's not over, but could you see it in the top 5?
Yeah.
Right now, it would be hard for me to put it anywhere above 5.
Yeah,
that's where I'm leaning right now. Unless the finale completely.
I think it can easily be beaten by something else.
Yeah,
but it's a very quality show and deserves
the finale. If it blows my mind, yeah, it gets a stamp of approval though, for sure, from Sight and Sound.
We will we'll talk more about Counterpart, and then we're transitioning into Legion season 2, which starts Tuesday, April 3rd at 10 p.m. And then we will be recapping that for the TV Time app that will appear on this very feed. So you don't have to go anywhere. That's all I got. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at WhatUpSnell. Jay, take us out.
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Jaye Williams, J the A, the Y, the E. It's the same for both. If you're listening to this on a Monday, tomorrow, episode 2 of More Than Music drops. Called Converge, hardworking and heavy as hell. It's a shorter episode, only 30 minutes, but I think you guys will enjoy it nonetheless. Need to get moving on episode 3. I'm only probably 2/3 of the way done just writing it. I have to finish writing it, then I have to record it, then I have to edit it, and it's stressing me out just thinking about it. I do have an entire month, as he said, without the microphone in front of his face. Love you guys. Thank you guys so much for listening. catch you on the flippity flop. Bye.